Good evening, this is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here with winemaker Antonio Maçanita from FitaPreta in the south of Portugal.
Alentejo.
And we're here to speak about your wine. You've had a whirlwind tour of Toronto. Tell us a little bit about your wine.
Okay, so we're a producer from Alentejo, south of Portugal, inland. So it's 140 km from Lisbon if you go direction of Spain. And we have a warm climate, continental. It is very warm days and very cold nights. So this is how it is. Soils vary a lot. So you have from schistty soils to clay granitic soils. And red wines tend to be rich, fruity, and white wines also tend to have that a lot of texture.
Historically, what type of wines were made there?
Well, it's the influence is Roman, so the Romans settled year 4 before Christ, and that's when the real industry of wine started. And so the clay pot came, the lagar, the fuse press.
When you say the clay pot, you mean the amphora?
Amphora,
yes,
yeah. And so in Portuguese would say talha. So this is really the base of the region. After dictatorship, so we had Salazar years, most of the vineyards were removed, and it was I don't know if you say barnyard, it's like we would get wheat, and so a lot of the wine got put aside. And now it's for the last 60 years is been coming back.
So you have a lot of experience making wine all over the world, in France, in Australia, and elsewhere. What did you try to do, and what have you achieved at FitaPreta?
Okay, the different places where I worked were more about really getting how are people working their grapes? How are they getting the best of their grapes? And when we get back to Portugal, we have 250 native indigenous grape varietals. So it's some things you can apply, some you can't. In the beginning was all about grabbing all this experience and putting it in. Now the responsibility is another one. It's grabbing what we have, what was back in the past, the varietals that we exist, and actually be able to put that in a bottle with all the talent that we have, so varietals and climate, but with something normally we lack, that it's freshness and acidity.
So in your travels, what did you pick up and bring to Portugal?
Well, in California, a lot of things, so gravity flow versus pump flow. I did a research project on comparing gravity flow systems to pump flow systems, and so we do everything gravity flow, so nothing touches, no fruit touches a pump.
Do you have a pump in the winery? And be honest here, do you have a pump in the winery?
No, we have a pump in the winery. We don't have a pump for grapes in the winery.
Okay.
And so when we say gravity flow, we're talking about solids. We're talking about grapes don't touch pumps. And so that was one thing. Second was a whole bunch pressed. From all the systems I've seen of whites, a whole bunch press for whites is what I've identified better too. So I brought that in.
Bringing structure to your white wines.
Most of all, giving me the capacity to put, for example, almost unripe fruit with ripe fruit in a press. That allows me to have fruit-driven aromas and acidity. If I was crushing it and putting it through a pump system, I would be getting all the unripe characters of fruit, whereas in a press I can actually put it in and get the best of two worlds.
So perhaps that's what many of your forefathers were doing in your region when they were making white wine. So you basically took this into the new generation.
It's possible. So vineyards were mixed and probably were having exactly that. Ripe fruit with unripe fruit, because it was different varietals and they were with different ripening periods.
Do you still have field blends going on in your vineyards?
Yes, we on our main white white grape vineyard. It's a fill blend. It's a planting from with between 20 and 30 years, and so there's a lot of different varietals in the same vineyard. So we have Anto, Anto, and Roupeiro mainly on that vineyard, but I'm pretty sure we have other things there too.
What kind of treatments are you doing on the white wines? Because your region is not all that well known for their white wines, but the wines I tasted this evening were actually exceptional.
I think one is really this thing of respecting acidity. We have an easy way to get texture. In a warm climate, it's easy to have good body, but we just generally lack freshness. And so this is step one. It's actually, like I've said, getting grapes with acidity, with real acidity inside of the winery. Second is whole bunch. Whole bunch gives me two advantages. The one I've talked of getting acidity, but the second is really the juice just clarifies. We need 12 hours to clean for it to clarify. We don't need to add enzymes. We don't need to add anything to get it clean. Third thing is using yeasts that do not interfere with the fruit character. So I want a pure expression of the Anto, the Roupeiro. I want that into bottle, and I don't want all those happy aromas that are coming from yeast and not from the varietals.
When we're talking about aromatic yeast aromas, what would you say those would be?
Well, aromatic yeast aromas?
Yes.
It's very, the passion fruit, all the tropical characters, they're normally yeast driven and not, well, it depends of the varietals. Some varietals do have those characters. You can taste that on Sauvignon Blanc in a vineyard. So passion fruit is there for Sauvignon Blanc, but just I think a lot of wines in the world are starting to just smell like passion fruit just because you're using yeast that can produce that.
Now you use a very neutral champagne yeast, or something similar to a champagne yeast.
So we want a straight fermenter. We want something that it's basically transforming sugar into alcohol. This is what we want. We want that the varietals, they're if you look at the descriptors, they're very neutral varietals. And so if you just grab something that can perturb that, you're not going to get the varietal anymore. And a lot of people say, Anto is this and is that, because there's too much of a chef behind it. There's too much chefs, too many winemakers doing, impacting that characteristic. So what we're looking, for example, with our FitaPreta white and Brancatalia is just get that inside of a bottle. Just get that expression inside of the bottle.
Well, I have to say, thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution. I'm sorry for throwing you all those awkward questions. And
thank you.
we look forward to catching up with you in Portugal.
Great, let's do that.
Take care. Good night.